So I was sitting. I'm a liberal and a proud socialist, Mr. Speaker. They have no plan to fight climate change. They have no plan for the economy. They have no plan for the future of Canada.
So we have a situation where you don't have BC on board. You don't have First Nation consent. There is no proponent. There isn't a route. And now you don't have Stephen Guilbeault. So in terms of bringing people together, it seems like this has also fostered some divisions in other parts of the country, sir.
So,
Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. We're going to have our Minister of Energy, Tim Hodgson. He's a cyborg, Mark Carney's right hand, it would seem, in this cabinet. He's his go-to guy, but he's heartless. In this, he's with David Cochrane, who is cockroach, hack, phony, fake reporter for the CBC propaganda machine. But even he realizes that the Energy Minister is not being straight with him. Count how many times our Minister of Cyborg here, Tim Hodgson, looks away and breaks eye contact while he thinks of the next lie he's going to tell. Let's check this out. Tim Hodgson, you gotta go. You're a problem. Be straight with Canadians, bro. Let's kick this off. Let's get into this. David Cochrane almost does a good job on this one. Not that he's making any points with me, but he does an okay job in this, maybe. Let's take a peek.
Joining me now is Tim Hodgson. He is the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. Minister, thank you for being here today, sir. We appreciate your time. What do you make of that scene we just saw in the Alberta legislature? The government you've just partnered with on this MOU cheering the resignation of your former cabinet colleague, Stephen Guilbeault.
Well, first of all, what I'm going to say is that Stephen is a good friend and someone I respect deeply. He's been a very good cabinet minister and done amazingly good things for Canada. My understanding he's going to continue to be a member of Caucus, and I think that's great for his constituents, and I think that's good for the government. And look, politics is a difficult sport. You've watched Question Period. People say all kinds of things on the floor in QP, which they in private they will take back. So I think we can all respect Minister Guilbeault as somebody who's dedicated his life for the betterment of Canada. He believes in this country. He's been a great colleague and a friend, and I look forward to continue working with him.
Well, I want to ask you about some things that Minister Guilbeault said in his resignation letter. He is resigning from cabinet because he...
Check out the body language on David Cochrane. Like, this guy is so readable. He's such a joke. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
He opposes this memorandum of understanding that you signed today, or the Prime Minister signed today. He says that a pipeline to the West Coast would have major environmental impacts. It would contribute to a significant increase in climate pollution, and it would move Canada further away from its greenhouse gas reduction targets. And he says lifting the tanker ban on the West Coast would significantly increase the risk of accidents, and we cannot hope to decarbonize our economy without decarbonizing the electricity sector and the carve-out of the clean electricity regulations. He sees all of these things as significant climb downs from Canada's climate goals. You've called this a win for the environment today. How do we reconcile those things?
So, look, I want to start with the big picture. We are at a hinge moment. We are at a moment of economic rupture. The world order, economic order, is being thrown to a very difficult place for this country. We need to respond. We agree on a number of things with our colleagues in many provinces and in Alberta. We agree that we need to strengthen our economy so we can be more secure and sovereign. That means we need to responsibly develop our energy and natural resources. While we're doing that, we need to do it, and as I said, do it in an environmentally responsible way. So what does this MOU do from an environmental perspective? It gets us agreement on an industrial carbon price. We all know that a functioning industrial carbon price is the most effective way to get to net zero. The carbon price historically in the last little while in Alberta has not been well functioning. We have agreement with Alberta to put that back on the right path. That is a big win. We have agreement that the Pathways project, the largest single CCUS project in the world, a project that will in effect take 4.75 million cars worth of CO2 off the road. We have agreement on methane regulations, the most polluting greenhouse gas. We have agreement on how to get those down. We have cooperation on environmental assessments where we were fighting with the province of Alberta before. So we can push forward now. We have agreements that will use Canadian steel. We have agreements around interties, which will reduce the carbon intensity of our grids. And we have agreement on a nuclear strategy. Those are wins for the environment.
Okay, look, and I appreciate the hinge moment economically. I'm obviously aware of that, but this is also a hinge moment for the planet and a hinge moment for climate. And the Prime Minister, on the day of the confidence vote on the budget, told Elizabeth May that you were committed to meeting the Paris targets. A lot of the things that got rolled back or scaled back today were core to meeting the Paris targets. And I know you got agreement on industrial price, but you've also, the Supreme Court ruled, you had the power to impose a stringency test on any province to meet and have an industrial system that meets stringency. And also in the projections from Environment Canada and Climate Change's targets on emissions reductions, the 22 megatons from Pathways was already included in those numbers. Now that reduction has become contingent on an oil pipeline of 1 million barrels a day. So I appreciate the economic arguments, but on the environmental side, are you really farther ahead? Because the environmental groups who are responding to this today are pretty disappointed, and they say this is the end of national standards. It's all going to be province by province carve-outs, and already Doug Ford is saying, me too, I want to carve out as well.
So we, in our carbon markets, have provincial markets already. We have said as a government, we will work with provinces, and where they produce equivalency, we will work with them to do that. We're doing that with one project, one review. This is completely consistent with that. Look, I think Canadians expect their politicians to work together to push forward. Rather than be fighting, we now have agreement on an industrial carbon price that will get us towards net zero. We have agreement on building the largest single, we'll be the first country in the world to step change, reduce the carbon intensity of their oil industry. We have agreement on methane. We have agreement on interties. We have agreement on nuclear for baseload power, non-carbon emitting baseload power. We have agreement that if a CO2 pipeline is part of Pathways, it will use all Canadian steel. These are wins. I think Canadians want their politicians to work with each other to get some wins, not fight for the sake of fighting.
No.
What we're seeing today is our Prime Minister working with provinces to push forward, to grow our economy in an environmentally responsible way in partnership with First Nations.
Right. I think you're right about working together, and that's been David Eby's argument, because British Columbia doesn't feel like they've been worked with really throughout this entire process, and the pipeline ultimately has to go through their territory and that of the First Nations. So we have a situation where you don't have BC on board, you don't have First Nation consent, there is no proponent, there isn't a route, and now you don't have Stephen Guilbeault. So in terms of bringing people together, it seems like this has also fostered some divisions in other parts of the country, sir.
So respectfully, there is no pipeline today. In the agreement, Alberta says they will need till next summer to bring forward a potential pipeline with a route yet to be chosen. And in the interim, what they need to do is work with the affected jurisdiction, BC. It's provided for in the MOU. Specifically, there will be three-way conversations about any route and any pipeline, and it specifically provides for consultation consistent with free, prior, informed consent with First Nations, and it specifically calls for, if there is a pipeline, Indigenous ownership. So I think we should all take a breath. What this MOU is doing is laying out the path for a discussion. It's saying this is how elected officials will sit down and work together to try and advance what Canadians want. They want us to grow our economy.
Right.
They want us to do it in an environmentally responsible way. They want us to do it in partnership with First Nations. This MOU lays out clearly a set of work plans. If you look at the end of the MOU, there are a series of work plans that need to happen, which will make sure those things happen. And I'm committed to doing that. I know the Prime Minister is committed to doing that. I know Premier Smith is committed to doing that. I will be flying to British Columbia tonight to meet with my counterpart and the Premier in British Columbia, and we're going to see what we can do.
Well,
we got work to do.
Well, look. Yesterday, Minister, Premier David Eby is standing by. We're going to get to him in just a second. But I spoke to Marilyn Slett last night, who is the president of Coastal First Nations, and they are obviously very opposed to this. Their nations are in the area where that cover the West Coast, where this pipeline will come out and where the tankers would presumably pick up the bitumen. And she said to me that David Eby is not exaggerating when he says a removal of the tanker ban or a modification of the tanker ban jeopardizes all of the economic projects that the government of British Columbia has secured and agreed to and consented to, such as LNG and those other projects, and that this puts all of that at risk. I mean, are you truly willing to expose the BC industrial agenda to this sort of risk based on the potential for a pipeline?
We'll need to just take a deep breath. There is no pipeline yet. There is no proposed route yet. The consultations that would need to happen have not yet occurred. What the MOU is doing is laying out a path and a process for how that would need to happen. And I think Canadians expect their politicians to sit down and do that work. If we agree that our goal is more economic sovereignty and our goal is to grow our trading relationships and doing that in an environmentally responsible way in partnership with First Nations, we have a basis for sitting down and having a conversation. I know the Coastal First Nations have had conversations with the Prime Minister's office. I have offered to meet them tomorrow when I'm in BC. And I think conversation and hard work is what Canadians expect of their politicians. I'm putting my hand up saying I'm ready to do that. I'm looking forward to sitting down with others to do that too.
Right, and Marilyn Slett did mention that you had reached out, but she says that the timeline that was offered, it's just impossible for them to get from where they are in the coast of BC to the time and place of the meeting. So,
it's called Zoom. It's called Zoom.
Well,
it's a wonderful. I think that's what we're using, David.
I understand, but I'm also not a Coastal First Nation chief, and I don't know if they would want to be met with in person and face to face. If they are going to have a bitumen pipeline, right?
I am happy to go visit I will happily make the trip.
But Minister, I've been speaking to members of your caucus, and they are very worried of suffering all of the political consequences of rolling back environmental laws and being seen to be on board with approving a pipeline, even though I know there is no proposal specific today, but without being guaranteed the economic upside of actually getting a pipeline. And it's already cost you a cabinet resignation, and there's a lot of seats in the lower mainland of British Columbia in particular where Liberals could be vulnerable to New Democrat victories next time around if you proceed with this. I know the Prime Minister said today we used to be a country that took risks. It seems like that is a doctrine that you're willing to engage in here economically and politically.
I think what the Prime Minister is saying is we're at a hinge moment. We have an economic rupture. Nostalgia is not a strategy. We need to do some hard things. Canadians elected us, and they expected us to do some hard things. That means rolling up our sleeves and doing work with our provincial and territorial counterparts and with affected First Nations, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay. Minister Tim Hodgson, we appreciate the time. I know it's a busy day, and it took a turn just before airtime, but we appreciate you coming on and dealing with it all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
We'll wrap it up right there, gang. Aaron, Canadian Looney, I don't know about these hacks at Legacy Media. What are they thinking? Are they just doing it for money? Let me know in the comments what you think. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. Get your Canadian federal politics right here. Ciao for now. Do not trust the news. Watch it, but filter it out. Know that they're lying to you. Catch you in the next video. Ciao for now.